Yes, hello guys, how are you doing? Let me trust you're doing good. Welcome once again to today's video. Here with me, I have HP Elitebook 840G3. The problem with this laptop is that the customer said the laptop is not taking any power, so this is no power problem. Now, before we proceed, I think it will be best for us to test for ourselves to confirm indeed that the laptop is not taking any power, and then from there we'll be able to see how we're gonna fix this. So as always, we need to plug in the blue pin because this laptop uses the blue pin. When I plug in, I can see there's nothing here. Normally, we should have an LED here. We should have LED there, but it seems like this one is not receiving anything. So the best way to approach this is to open the motherboard and then do what's called the physical inspection. Thorough physical inspection, all say from the charging port, MOSFET 1, MOSFET 2, and then any power line. We are going to check whether it is having an issue or not. So give me 1 to 3 minutes to disassemble and then we see what is going on with the motherboard. The motherboard is out, so we are going to check for ourselves what actually is going on with this motherboard, especially the from the power port. We are going to check whether the voltage is coming to the inductor. We are going to check MOSFET 1, MOSFET 2, and even the charging IC. Or we are and even to the main power line, whether the voltage is going into the motherboard. So let me put this screen aside so that you have a free space on the page. So this is my motherboard. As I said, we are going to plug in the adapter. When I plug in, there's nothing happening. Next, I like us to measure the voltage, whether there is any voltage going into the motherboard. Put your meter in the voltage mode, and then one of your probes to the ground. That is the negative probe to the ground. I don't know whether you can see the readings. I want you to pay attention to the reading. So one probe to the ground, and then my other probe inductor, the 20 voltage is coming in. Obviously, it must enter into this. You can see first MOSFET receiving the voltage, and then I need to see whether that MOSFET is also switching the voltage. But as you can see, it is not switching. It is switching 4.2 instead of 19. Whenever we have MOSFET 1 not switching any voltage, there are some few things we need to check. Number one, we have to check the main power lane, whether it is shorted or not. To check whether the main power lane is shorted, put your meter into continuity mode and ensure that it is in peeping mode so that you can see whether it is peeping. Have one probe on the ground and all of these screw holes at the ground. And then your current sense resistor 1, PR1, is the component which connects the main power lane. As you can see, that inductor is not connecting to the main power lane. So it means the main power lane is good. When the main power lane is good, it means we don't have any short in the main power lane. Now our problems will narrow down to the MOSFET 2 or MOSFET 1 itself. It could be the MOSFET 1 is the issue or MOSFET 2 is the issue. Apart from those MOSFETs being the problems, also you have to consider the charging IC. So let me bring it closer so that you can see. These problems are very common. So we said if this MOSFET 1, if this MOSFET is not switching voltage to the other side, it could be we have a short in the main power lane, and we've measured, we found out that there is no short in the main power lane. Number two, it could be MOSFET 2 is shorted or MOSFET 1 is shorted. So either of these MOSFETs could be the problem. And then number three, it could be the charging IC. It could be this charging IC is the issue, or the components around this charging IC could be also the problem. Now, so we want to find out why this MOSFET is not switching the voltage. So we said we are going to test those MOSFETs whether they are shorted or not. And to test that, we are going to test the drain, the source, and then you can see MOSFET 2 is the one which is shorted. Let me bring it closer so that you can see. So this small MOSFET here is the one which is shorted. Can you see this one? So I have the drain and the source. Can you see? Exactly, that is the issue. Very simple. If not the main power lane, is MOSFET 2. If not MOSFET 2, is MOSFET 1. What about MOSFET 1? Is it good? So let us see MOSFET 1. And MOSFET 1 I have no problem. So our problem is MOSFET 2. That is it. As simple as like that. So we are going to replace that MOSFET and then see whether the voltage is able to pass on to the motherboard. So I have a spare part here. So this is the junk which will donate the MOSFET to. So first of all, before I replace that MOSFET, we also need to confirm this MOSFET from this motherboard is good. You know, sometimes you might end up replacing a bad MOSFET with a bad MOSFET. This one is good. So meaning it is safe for us to replace that MOSFET. It means it is safe for us to replace that MOSFET. And that is exactly what you're going to do. So this is the MOSFET which is shorted, and this is the MOSFET which is good. This problem is very common, especially with these motherboards of G1, G2, G3, G4, and even G5. However, for the G5, what normally gets shorted is the interface and the high side MOSFETs or low side MOSFETs. That is the common issue which happens to the input power line. So next time you find a motherboard which is not switching the voltage from MOSFET 1, there are a few things you need to consider. Number one, you have to consider MOSFET. You have to consider main power lane. After the main power lane, the next thing you have to check is the MOSFET 2 and the MOSFET 1. And then from there, you have to check the charging IC, that is the BQ, or the components around the charging IC. You know, sometimes you find those components are corroded or they are burned. So the MOSFET is replaced. I've replaced the MOSFET. So let us hope now you will be able to have voltage going into the motherboard. So let us see whether we are heading somewhere or we are frog jumping. Plugged in, boom, and then we have the light. Actually, the laptop is on. This is the LED. Oh, nice, beautiful. So next, let us plug in the screen. Let us connect the screen. Or before even I connect the screen, can we confirm indeed this MOSFET was the one which is shorted? So tiny. I don't know whether you can see it, but let us see. So this one, drain to source, and it is shorted. This MOSFET is dead. You see? Let me bring it closer so that you can see. Can you see? So this is the source, this is the drain, and then this is the source. So the three pins here are the source, and they have continuity. If those MOSFETs have continuity, it means they are faulty, and there is nothing we can do about them. So let me have the motherboard into the screen, and then we test and see whether we have the display. Obviously, we must have the display because the issue was the power problem. It wasn't anything to do with the BIOS. So there is no alarm to get scared. We might not have the displays, or we might not have these. What I am a bit worried about is the charging. Yes, I am a little bit worried about the charging because that is the charging circuit. And if you see that line having issues, it could be also it got faulty because of the battery. I don't know. In case if the customer will say the laptop is not charging, I'll suggest to bring it in with the battery. Actually, the customer just sent me this skeleton of the laptop without the battery, without what, without any other parts, without the back lid, without the RAMs, SSD. So there's no way I can test beyond here because I can't test whether it is charging because I don't have the battery. You can't even boot into the Windows. So we are just going to see whether it is showing us the display until it reaches the point where it is asking for the operating system. We will assume the laptop, everything else is working. So that is it. When a customer sends me this only parts, I'll work with what I have. I will only work with what I do have. The rest of the things, the customer will sort from his head. So right now I have connected the motherboard and then you have the screen. So the next thing to do is to plug in the power and then we see whether we will have any display. And I also want you to pay attention to these LEDs here. Normal powering on, we should have the white LED and the orange blinking for a few minutes and then it goes back and then it comes back again. So let us plug in and see. You can see we have white LED and then the three of them, the fan spinning. That means the laptop is powered on. Let's wait and see whether we'll have any display. The CPU is getting warm. Boom. And we have the display. And you have the display there. Nice. Okay, I don't have any other else. I don't have the. Okay, you can connect the keyboard there. You can connect the keyboard and then we press enter to see whether it will ask for operating system. Since we don't have the SSD, the keyboard connected, enter, rebooting, looking for the SSD operating system. It is searching for the operating system. Restarting. You saw how it is easy. Yes, it was very easy. Fixing no power should not complicate repair because it is up to you to check which are the main power lanes, which are the components responsible for power intake, and then from there you will be able to check after this line what next. When you plug in, what happens? You need to have the power port. At the power port, you need to have the inductor. At the inductor, you need to have the MOSFET 1. After MOSFET 1, you have MOSFET 2. After MOSFET 2, you have current sense resistor 1. We normally call it PR1. Now, if the voltage is not going beyond MOSFET 1, you also need to have your own, you need to know why. If the voltage is not going beyond MOSFET 1, what could be the issue? You see, boot device not found. And that is it, guys. The laptop is working fine. Now, as I was saying, once you have a laptop of no power, you need to understand whether the components responsible for power intake, starting from the power port, MOSFET 1, MOSFET 2, current sense resistor, all of those components. Now, once you know the components that are responsible for power intake, it will be easier for you to fix those issues because when you are missing a voltage in a certain point, at least you will know what could have caused that. And then you will have fewer suspects. You will narrow down the issue. You will not be dealing with the entire components within the motherboard. And it will make the work very easy. I believe I did discuss about the power input diagram. You can search among my videos. There is a video where I explain about the components responsible for power input. And then from there, you will have to understand. Yeah. In fact, I also gave out what are some of the factors which make the voltage not to be switched from this point to this point. What are some of the components which are responsible for taking power from this sector to this particular line? Anyway, I don't want to take much of your time. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I really, really appreciate your presence. In case you're having an issue with your laptop, or in case you know somebody who is having a problem with his or her laptop, you can connect them with us so that you can fix their laptop. You can also bring your laptop to us so that we can fix it for you. Again, on top of that, in case you're interested in learning to fix laptops, we also have a courses we teach, both online and physical. So whichever the module you're interested in, you're highly welcome. Just contact me, then we gonna discuss the logistics. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. Please do not forget to subscribe and see you in the next video. Goodbye.